The room smelled of dust and varnish, the kind of silence only old art could keep. I stood beneath her empty frame, the pale outline of what once was La Gionda burned into the wall like a ghost that refused to leave. My gloves trembled, though not from fear, from awe. For centuries she had watched kings, poets, and liars come and go, but tonight she was finally looking at me. I felt her absence echo through the marble halls like a secret heartbeat. The footsteps of the guards faded down the corridor. I waited for the last door to click shut. In that moment, Paris slept, and I, an invisible workman, a speck in their grand museum, carried the soul of the Renaissance beneath my coat. They would not notice until morning, and by then, she would already be mine. By sunrise, the Louvre had turned into a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. Men in uniform whispered, their boots echoing against marble floors that no longer felt holy. I read the newspaper headline at a cafe 2 streets away: "Priceless painting stolen, police baffled." I remember stirring my coffee twice, watching the swirl fade into black stillness. Every article described the thief as a mastermind, a phantom, a man of infinite skill. I was a carpenter, a repairman, a foreigner, invisible enough to walk through their pride unseen. At home, I wrapped the painting in linen, tucked behind a false wall inside a wooden trunk. Each night I'd open it, just to breathe the air that once surrounded her. She seemed smaller here, less divine, more human. Sometimes I'd catch her smile in the flicker of the candlelight, and it felt like she was mocking me. Maybe she knew I wasn't a thief, just a man trying to bring her home. Days turned into weeks, weeks into years. Paris moved on, but I didn't. I stopped sleeping, afraid the silence might start talking back. I began hearing her voice, not in words, but in the way the shadows leaned. The painting had become a mirror. When I looked at her, I saw myself, the immigrant who polished their floors, repaired their windows, built their walls, yet was never truly seen. I told myself it was patriotism, that she belonged to Italy, stolen by France centuries ago, that I was simply correcting history. But deep down, I knew the truth. I wanted to be remembered. For once, I wanted to matter. Sometimes I'd imagine the detectives, still searching for a man who didn't exist, a collector, a syndicate, a myth. They never looked for me, the quiet one who said bonjour and disappeared into the background. Obsession doesn't shout, it whispers, until it owns you. It was my daughter who found out first. She was small, curious, and drawn to the box I always told her never to touch. I heard her gasp before I even turned around. "Papa, why do you have this?" Her voice cracked something inside me. The truth, long sealed in silence, flooded the room like spilled turpentine. I told her it was for Italy, for honor, for justice. But she didn't understand, and neither did I anymore. The newspapers said the painting was worth millions now. There were rumors of ransom, of international buyers. The line between purpose and greed blurred. I realized that my masterpiece, my act of pride, had turned into a cage. When I finally confessed, I didn't do it for forgiveness. I did it because I couldn't stand seeing her face anymore, not La Gionda's, my daughter's. They came quietly, no sirens, no spectacle, just 2 officers and a folded warrant. I didn't resist. In the interrogation room, they spoke to me like a curiosity, the fool who outwitted the Louvre without knowing why. One of them asked, "Was it worth it?" I looked at my hands. The same hands that built frames, hung paintings, fixed hinges, and for 2 years held the world's most famous smile. It was never about worth, I said. It was about belonging. When they took her from me, I didn't watch. I couldn't. The door closed, and for the first time I understood what true silence was. Not absence of sound, but absence of meaning. Justice didn't come with a gavel. It came with emptiness. Years later, I visited the Louvre again, as a stranger. Tourists crowded the room, cameras flashing, guards standing taller than I remembered. There she was, behind glass now, untouched and untouchable. Her smile hadn't changed, but mine had. No one looked at me. No one ever did. I walked past her, down the long corridor, until her gaze was just another echo in my mind. I realized then that I hadn't stolen a painting. I'd stolen time. 2 years where the world forgot her, and I pretended to matter. As I stepped outside, Paris felt heavier, colder. I lit a cigarette, watched the smoke curl upward, and whispered to the wind. She was never mine to keep.